Okay, so last week was spring break. People were traveling and going places. A lot of people went places sunny and bright and warm. I went to Wisconsin. Why did I go to Wisconsin? Well, if you remember, our banquet speaker last year, Pastor Matt Truhella, is from Milwaukee. And he's got a kind of a group of rebel rousers there, a lot like Dan Fisher's Liberty Church. They're really involved in social issues and politics and trying to get things done there. So he had put together a conference that was centering around the anniversary of the Joshua Glover event that I wrote about a couple of weeks ago. You remember the slave that ran away, and the Wisconsinites defended him, and their legislature defended that escape, and the people who did that, their Supreme Court was involved in that as well. All of them defied the federal government and said that they were out of line and that their laws concerning slavery were void and null of no force in Wisconsin. And really that's the kind of thing we need to see happening again all across the board, whether it's EPA mandates, education, medical care, abortion. All of it could be solved if the people in the states would act the same way and if our elected officials would act the same way. So it was March the 14th of 1859 when the Wisconsin legislature said this federal Fugitive Slave Act is of no force here, and we're going to defend our people against their aggression, against their lawsuits, against our people. And so that was the 14th. So Matt put this conference together with a couple of events, speaking events. We did public outreach. We went to the college campus. We were at the Capitol lobbying, and we did a ceremony down there in front of the cathedral. So I will just show you a few of my pictures and a video clip of what was going on there. So we landed on Saturday night. It was sunshiny. It was beautiful. Sunday, the sunshine was beautiful. We had a conference. It was well attended. There were probably over 300 people there. Different church people came, and grassroots activists like us in Wisconsin. So it started snowing Sunday night, and when we got up in the morning, this is what, where is it? Here we go. When we got up in the morning, this is what the sidewalk looked like in front of our apartment. That is 12.5 inches of snow. The biggest snowstorm of the year in Milwaukee. Average high temperature in mid-March is 45 degrees in Milwaukee, and they're done with snow. And this is what we got right in the middle of our conference and our event. So we were afraid that the very next day, Tuesday, was going to cancel our commemoration event down there where they broke Josh Glover out back in 1854. And, there's just so much snow on everything, but the city went out and, with taxpayer dollars, plowed the sidewalks, and we had a place to stand. But instead of several thousand people showing up like we expected, there were just a few hundred. But it was still neat to be there in the place where these historic things happened. So that's what 12.5 inches of snow does when you and your wife are there. So Tuesday we went down, and this is the corner. This is where the county courthouse was, the county offices, and the jail were in that snowy spot behind me. And then in this picture, you can see the cathedral behind us. That's the cathedral that was being built in 1854 when they broke Glover out of jail. And so it was a 6-foot timber from that building project that broke down the jail door. And so now there's nothing there where the jail used to be, but the church is still standing. It gave me goosebumps to be in that place at that time. Then, of course, when they took Josh Glover on the Underground Railroad, he was covered up in a wagon. He was pulled out of there through town. And one of the places they stopped was in a family's home right near where this is now a highway overpass. So what they've done is they've put a mural up there all under the overpass telling the story of his escape, and on the opposite side of other similar Underground Railroad escapes, and it's commemorated there. So there is this concept in the psyche, in the cultural psyche of Wisconsinites that, hey, we defied the feds. That was us. We did it. But they're not doing it now. They're proud of the fact that they did it, but they're not proud enough to do it again now. So we've been trying to stir that up there and here and in other states by repeatedly preaching this message. So now I think I've got about a 3-minute video clip I want to show you that kind of summarizes these events and points.
We no longer have the convenience of acting indifferent towards the unjust and immoral actions of our government. And I submit to you that the lawlessness of the judiciary should not be forborne. I submit to you that the murder of the preborn should not be forborne.
I'm here at Cathedral Square in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the site of the rescue of fugitive slave Joshua Glover. In 1854, federal marshals arrested runaway slave Joshua Glover from his home in Racine, Wisconsin, intending to return him to the man who claimed to own him. While he awaited transport to Missouri, a mob of abolitionists and citizens stormed the Milwaukee County Jail and freed Glover, who then escaped to Canada via the Underground Railroad.
You're standing on the very ground where the jail was. That's the church that was being built that they got the beam from to break the jail door down.
When the federal government attempted to prosecute Sherman Booth, the abolitionist responsible for the rescue, Wisconsin state officials intervened, declaring the Fugitive Slave Act to be an act of undelegated power, and therefore without authority, void, and of no force. Now, more than 160 years later, modern abolitionists say it is time for Wisconsin officials to follow in the footsteps of their predecessors and stand up to the federal government.
And this is what our state officials need to do in our day on behalf of the preborn. They need to defy the federal judiciary, defend the preborn, and declare the opinion of Roe versus Wade to be without authority, void, and of no force in the state of Wisconsin.
Abolitionists have once again gathered here to call on the magistrates of Wisconsin to interpose themselves and defy the Supreme Court, this time on behalf of preborn children in the state of Wisconsin.
If she changed her mind and said she didn't want that child, she could go to 2 different abortion clinics a mile from here. We could pay somebody $1,000 and they would tear that little human being apart. The law enforcement in this city, in this state, and our federal government would protect that act.
The rally held at Cathedral Square featured local pastors and leaders, as well as former Green Bay Packer Kabir Bajabiamila, who said it is time to move past a pro-life position and stop allowing the murder of the unborn.
Today, I went from a pro-life now to an abolitionist now, because no longer do I just want to just say I'm pro-life. Everybody's a pro-life. Everybody, we have the state of Wisconsin right now. If you talk to most of the people, it's ran by Republicans. They all tell you I'm pro-life, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-life, and we can't get anything done. And so we don't want to just say we're pro-life entitled. We want to end abortion in this state and in our country. It's time.
After the rally, abolitionists marched downtown, carrying their message to the public square.
But the same principles that were once established here in the state of Wisconsin needs to be reapplied to end the evil of our age, which is child sacrifice and the shedding of innocent blood.
The rally and march took place as part of a conference which also included lectures and discussions on abolitionism, public activism, and lobbying at the state capitol, calling on the governor and other state officials to intervene in today's Holocaust.
Now all the other branches bow down to the judiciary and act as though we should stand by while babies are being butchered just because the Supreme Court said so.
So I did get to speak a couple of times. Those are on video. I'll try and make those available on the Oklahomans United for Life website or on the OCPAC website. It was a great week. It was very encouraging and discouraging at the same time. You know how that is, because people catch the idea, they catch the vision, they want to do something, they see this is what we should do, and it's such a stretch from what we know should be done to actually getting our elected officials to do it. And meeting after meeting I've had, there are so few of them that get it. That's what this is about. Everyone says they're pro-life. But to say you're pro-life means that you want people to choose. Pro means for, and life. We want people to choose life. That's not good enough. What we need to be doing is taking that legal option away. That shouldn't be a choice that people legitimately have. We're not pro don't murder your children. We say no, you can't, or you'll be punished. Until we get consistent on this issue, we're not going to get anywhere. What's pro-life? Pro-life is the bill that passed on the floor of the House yesterday, the Prenatal Non-Discrimination Act that says an abortionist can't kill a baby because it shows fetal deformity or other kind of handicap issues. So, great. That's not why I killed him. I killed him because I didn't want him. Now it's legitimate. So will that bill save a single life if it goes into effect? Not one. That is so that pro-life legislators can go, look how pro-life I am. Because Oklahomans for Life and Tony Launger said, Look at me. I voted for the bill, and now he's going to get these pro-life ratings, and then the pro-life lobbyist can say, give me money, and the candidate can say, re-elect me, give me money, and it goes around in a vicious cycle of doing nothing. That's the problem. Until we're willing to ignore and defy the courts and reassert proper jurisdiction, this is going nowhere. The only answer is a healthy competition, a brawl between jurisdictions. Think about the programs, the shows that we used to watch years ago growing up that may have been in black and white. You remember the cop shows, the murder shows, the espionage shows, and they would always reflect this jurisdictional battle, right? There was always the cop there with his hand in his belt. This is my territory. And then there's the FBI guy wants in, and then the CIA guy wants in. And it's all about whose territory is it? And in the olden days, it was always very clear that the local sheriff had the authority. And even if the other guys acted like they did, he would find a way to assert his authority. And now when you watch shows on CBS, ABC, NBC, all of them, they all glorify the feds and the international agencies that have all the guns and bells and whistles. And of course, they're only going to use them against the bad guys. And they always portray the local sheriff as this bumpkin idiot who just needs to get out of the way and let the real guys do their job. So we've turned it upside down.